You get a whale, and you get a whale. The fight of our lives. Buckle up. You're not going to want to miss this. Brandon Gentili here. If some is good, more is better, right? If you want less population, that's what Bill Gates wants. That's what he's been talking about for years. That's what Klaus Schwab, the global elitists, the people, the Davos types flying all over the world, jet setting around. That's what they're constantly talking about. We need less population. We need less people. What an evil, evil thing to say and think. Actually believe that. I'm not going to get into some of the crazy things that have been found on people's computers and the images. Not even going to get into that. If you want less population, then just kill everyone. Wouldn't just no humans on Earth be better? There we go. Problem solved. No more climate change, right? Or wait, there was an ice age 10,000 years ago, though. Did the SUVs and humans take that out, melt all that, or nah? We're not supposed to ask those questions. Why use our God-given abilities? Why use our 6 higher faculties? Memory, intuition, reason, logic, perception, willpower. Why would you use those? Why? If you want to give everyone stimulus, then just give everyone $1 million. You know what? We'll solve inflation really quick. People are worried about how am I going to meet inflation demands and the rising prices. We'll just give everyone $1 million. Why give them $2,000 or $600? If some is more, or if some is good, more is better. $1 billion. Give them $1 trillion. Solve world hunger. Just deploy the $100 billion we sent over to Ukraine this year by sending that over the world. Just spread it around the world, distribute it, and solve the hunger fight. Problem solved. Well, shouldn't it be, right? If you answer no to these questions, then logically, you just then have to ask yourself, well, if the extreme version wouldn't be better, then why would any of it work? Why would a small amount of it work? Maybe it's the opposite direction we need to go. Kind of like the inflation and deflation videos and blogs we've been doing, where if inflation isn't working and it's diametrically opposed to deflation, which is technological advance, as technology grows, it causes deflation. It causes prices to go down, meaning the standard of living goes up. So why do we keep fighting with printing currency? Because the debt-based system we're in doesn't allow for deflation. The entire system collapses on itself, and yes, people will get hurt. The people that will get the most hurt, though, are the people that stand to lose the most, though, and that's why they don't want to do it. It's the Wall Streeters, it's the Davos types, it's the central banks. Those people all get rug pulled, and the average person, you know what? If you're poor already, you're not going to be affected that much. Not going to be that much different. If you're middle class, really not going to be that much different for you too. But guess what? The 1%ers, the Davos types, oh yeah, their world's upside down. Then they're living next door to you, and they don't want that. That's why Ben Bernanke said in his paper in 2002, deflation, making sure it doesn't happen here. That's why the IMF is talking about financial repression, debasing the currency and printing currency to steal the wealth from you to pay off their debts. Privatize gains, socialize the losses. We're going to spread the losses around and make everyone pay for it. No one asked us for these things. No one asked for these bailouts. No one asked us for going to Ukraine, for doing all this garbage. Are you kidding me? Who's voting for that? I mean, I guess you could blame the voters for voting for these people the representatives that represent them that go vote for these idiotic things. Or I don't even know. I don't know if people are voting to send these packages over to Ukraine or what. I have no idea. But then again, Gregory Mannarino says, if you had a vote, it wouldn't matter. So do we really have a vote? And again, we had the last couple elections, and really since the 60s, the Abraham Lincoln vote, where dead people have been voting. The most corrupt election ever, they say, was a Nixon vote 60 years ago. So do we have fair elections? If you had a vote, it wouldn't matter. So do we have a vote? You tell me. Again, maybe it's the opposite direction we need to go. How come no one's saying that? How come no one's thinking that? What? I mean, we're flipping human beings for crying out loud. How does no one say, you know what? We've been doing this time and time again. We've been going in the ditch, left and right, front and center. Why don't we go the opposite way? You know what? We don't seem to be getting to our destination this way, so let's go the opposite way. Let's change directions and go the opposite way. Literally. We just keep doing the same thing over and over again. We're just going to keep beating our head against the walls. You know, what do I know? Just a hockey player, old hockey player. Just thought, again, however, you know, if you continue listening to the unproductive class, you know, just keep doing the thing, driving us in the ditch over and over again. Deeds, not words. If peace or solving world hunger is really what the unproductive class wanted, then why haven't they facilitated it? Why haven't they done anything other than flap their gums about it? They would have restored sound money if that was the case. If they wanted to really raise the standard of living, they would have gotten back to sound money. They would have restored gold decades ago or never taken us off the gold standard. Nixon shock, but again, he was kind of left to do what he had to do at the end of the day. I mean, I don't know, how much can you blame him? They set him up to fail. Whoever's in that position probably would have done the same thing. So we wouldn't be funding proxy wars either. We wouldn't be funding real wars. We wouldn't be fighting in Afghanistan for 20 years, spending $7 trillion and destroying all of our wealth, resources, our culture, destroying people's mental health, 20 plus veterans killing themselves every single day. We wouldn't have that if these unproductive class yahoos would bring about sound money, stop printing out their eyeballs, enriching themselves, and just have a budget. We don't even have a budget in this country. I don't even know the last time we had a budget in this country. 10 years ago? 15 years ago? We didn't have a budget. Think about that. Well, it's so we can print currency, Brandon. Well, great. Who pays for that? Wonderful. That can last in the short term. But who pays for that long term? Because that debt clock keeps going. That debt clock just keeps spinning up. So what are we doing here? What are we truly doing here? Look at this. Look at that national debt. Just keeps. I got this on my tabs all the time just to look at it. Wow. Huh. This isn't actually, I don't think this is the real one. What is it right now? Let's see. 2022. $31 trillion. 31 trillion. That was in the future. That was a couple of years from now. That was a projected one in a few years. $41 trillion. 31 trillion. Each taxpayer, what they owe? $245,000 per taxpayer. Almost $100,000 per citizen. So what are we doing? It's a great website if you ever, usadebtclock.org. Incredible website to just go through all kinds of facts and figures. So if they really wanted to help solve hunger or climate change, they would be jet setting all around the world daily. Don't insult my intelligence. Seriously. It's not your fault. It's not my fault. Most of us were not taught any of this by our parents. We certainly were not taught it in school. The media has been complicit and in bed with the unproductive class and has been the very people, has become the very people they intended to keep in check. We can thank Woodrow Wilson, a huge racist, over 100 years ago for starting the media relationship with government officials. White House Correspondents' Dinner, anybody? And again, we have a little blurb down here from Wikipedia about who started it. Boy, oh boy, 1914, the man who was a supreme racist and said, we will not go to World War I, and then sure enough, we're in World War I. Or like FDR, we will not go to World War II, and then sure enough, we're getting bound to Pearl Harbor, and yep, we're in World War II. Just seems like these Fabian socialists, these progressive globalists, Marxists, are the ones that are constantly getting us into wars. They're constantly destroying our wealth, taking all of our wealth, either directly through taxes or indirectly through inflation, government programs, the Great New Deal, Social Security, FDR. It's just mass insanity. Woodrow Wilson also got us into the United Nations. I can't remember what the United Nations was called at that time, but it was called something else. I can't remember what it was. They could talk about the creature from Jekyll Island, all these things. These people just set us up. We've been set up. It's a complete setup. And I know that's hard to believe. It's hard to imagine that people are out there to get you, but we have to. We have to imagine that. And if this is the linchpin to get you to look into something, to research something, read The Creature from Jekyll Island about the origins of the central banks and how those came about, how those were started, how they're run, you will learn more in one book than you will in 12 years of your formal schooling. Guaranteed. 100% guaranteed. You know why I know? Because it happened to me. I knew something was wrong, and I found books 10 years ago, 12 years ago that blew my mind completely wide open. And were the answers that I was looking for and wanted, was asking in school, but no one knew. And again, like we said, it's not our fault. Most people didn't know these things. The teachers couldn't give me these answers. They didn't know. And again, Woodrow Wilson knew. He was a smart guy. He was president of Princeton, I believe. He knew 100 years ago. By the way, they took his statue down just in the last couple of years because, weird, they found out he was a huge racist. We knew 100 years ago that if he could befriend the media, he could then get them to report whatever he wanted. That's today. We have the White House Correspondents' Dinner. That's why Donald Trump didn't go to the White House Correspondents' Dinner, because it's a dumb thing to have in the first place. Why would I be in bed, and vice versa, with the media? It's absolutely insane. Again, he knew if he could befriend them, he could be close to them and cozy up to them instead of them keeping a check and balance on them. Again, Woodrow Wilson was literally the worst president we've ever had in the United States. There's people battling him, but he really probably is the worst president. Just go check him out. Many people worry that the government is not there to look out for you. Well, you would be correct. I've had many conversations over the years of people saying, you know what, Brandon, I did realize you were right. I just thought people, were just going to, they weren't going to lie to us. They had my best interest at heart, the government or whatever it was, but they don't have the incentive. When, as Charlie Munger says, show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome. There's zero incentive for government to take care of you. Why would they? As John Kennedy said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. That used to be the Democrat Party. Now we have the Democrat Party down here with this man who is in power saying the Constitution was a charter of negative liberties, what the states can't do to you or what the federal government can't do to you. But it doesn't say what the state or federal government must do on your behalf. Well, that goes directly 180 degrees opposite of what John Kennedy said. The government's not there to do anything for you. That's not what the government's role is. The government's role is to protect its borders, have a standing, or at least a military to protect you in time of war or if attacked. That's it. It's not here to have a military industrial complex. It's not here to run healthcare websites. It's not here to run food stamps programs. It's not here to get in the agricultural business. It's not here to own GM, own car companies. It's not here to own Solyndra, his buddy's company 10 years ago, and get in the solar business. That's not what they do, because they're not incentivized to do any of those things well. That's why the private sector is best suited for that, and that's why the private sector is what flourishes in business, not the government. The government doesn't do anything. We give them all their power. We also give them our money, our property. That's the only reason they have anything. They don't do anything. That's not what the government does. This is literally basic economics, civics 101. Again, you would be correct if the government was not looking out for you. They're not incentivized to do that. By its very nature, it's there to centralize more and more power. That's what people also who seek positions of power are generally trying to do. They're trying to get more power. That's exactly why we have the Constitution and Bill of Rights. That means it must take power and freedoms away from you when it centralizes power and steal your wealth. So when it's centralizing more and more power, that means something else is happening. That means it's taking power and freedoms away from you. The more power it has, the less power and freedoms you have, and less wealth, less property. This is a lesson from all of human history. Again, this is what made America different. This is the American exceptionalism that de Tocqueville wrote about when he was traveling to and from France back 200 plus years ago. Again, or I believe it was the 1700s, maybe the 1800s. I don't remember now. Correct me. Please drop a comment what year he was doing that. Again, this is what the founding fathers did purposely, restricted this. And we know this because we have their journals, we have their memos, we have the Federalist Papers, we have all their documents saying this is why we gave you this government. This is why we did this for you. You know, Ben Franklin was famous for saying a republic. You know, Mr. Franklin, what kind of government did you give us? He said, a republic, if you can keep it. A federal constitutional republic, a representative government, not a democracy. Democracy is mob rule. And you know, we've done a good job for a long time, but we are failing the test now. We have not kept up the republic. We don't even know it's a republic anymore. That in of itself explains our problems. Again, the Constitution and Bill of Rights were written specifically to limit the rights, or to expand the rights of the people and restrict government from taking those rights. The governments are there at the consent of the people to protect those rights. Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, those documents lay that out specifically. They are there, the government is there by the consent of the governed, and they are there to protect these rights, not to take these rights, not to take them and give them when they please. They're there to protect those rights at all times. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, pursuit of property. Not sure how those documents are negative, as Barack Obama said, the charter of negative liberties. But that's what you have when you have a community organizer who's never worked in the real world and is hell-bent on centralizing power. An interesting take for a constitutional lawyer. All you need to know. Occupy Wall Street and the Tea Party are two sides of the same coin. They both had it right. The 99% versus the 1%. The hardworking individuals, the laborers, the doctors, the lawyers, and everything in between versus the unproductive class. Occupy Wall Street and the Tea Party are two sides of the same coin. Being on the edge is where you need to be, though. They both had it right. Occupy Wall Street generally was saying the bankers had it wrong and the wealthy were the ones that were screwing them. And for the most part, that was right. It was the bankers, it was the central bankers, and it was the commercial banks, and it was the politicians screwing them. And the Tea Party was just saying, it's the politicians screwing us. They're ramming healthcare down our throat, socialized medicine. And they were right as well. They were saying the same things. They were being screwed. Occupy Wall Street actually had more the actual direct problem right, the core issue wrong, right, which was the banking system and the central banking and the bailouts. The Tea Party was coming probably a little more of a political way and saying this is not constitutional. This is completely wrong, which they were right as well, but they were a little bit more downstream. If you fix the money, you fix the world. You fix everything downstream as well. The rent seekers and grifters in places of power that call themselves honorable, give themselves these grandiose titles, but are anything but honorable, do nothing to further advance society, except siphon off your wealth and create rules, regulations, and red tape that only stifle creativity and human expression. Period. The political world is not where these things will be solved. Great advances in human society don't come from the government. There's things that they have done to help aid things, whether it was DARPA or there's some origins of the internet that were helped along because of government or funding that the private sector gave them, then yes, there are things, because there was a lot of those smart people that left private sector jobs or whatever and came to the government to try to get things done. And those are different time periods as well, whether it was NASA, things like that, the military, where there was a high level of importance of things to be done. There was a sense of mission or a sense of pride, which is generally found in a company, generally not found in the government. So there's reasons, there's nuances to people, the straw man arguments. People say, well, this was made, that was made there. Yeah, I mean, a handful of things were made there, and there were reasons those things were done there, or there was some invention or some creation there. Again, the Colosseum is exactly where the unproductive class wants us fighting. Red versus blue, black versus white, left versus right. That's it. Man versus woman. They want us divided so they can conquer. When we are e pluribus unum, when we are one, the globalists have no chance. The unproductive class has no chance against us. The people have the answer. The Bitcoin economy is a parallel world being built alongside the existing legacy crumbling world. It's a true new capitalist free market society that is slowly engulfing the legacy world simply because the legacy world cannot keep up with this new technological discovery. Bitcoin's properties of immutability, censorship resistance, decentralization, proof of work, fixed supply give it unbeatable advantages to the current monetary system we have. You know, the current one that allows 20 war spending packages to Ukraine, or $1 trillion omnibus bills, or $1 trillion bailouts, or student loan forgiveness, or having no budgets. Literally, Bitcoin cleans this up and restores merit, price discovery, and price signals. The central banks are the puppeteers, controlling the politicians and government puppets all across the world. The central banks are truly the wizards behind the curtain, pulling all the strings and calling all the shots. He who has the gold and makes the rules, and makes the loans, makes the rules. Bitcoin is the new opportunity that we have to take back control of society and restore order. Only for people who love their freedoms. Money is a winner-take-all fight, and we are in the midst of it now. Countries all over the world, central banks all over the world, and unproductive class members all over the world are all fighting for control of this new monetary world order. Here, you have the BRICS countries, you have countries escaping the dollar system, you've got central banks warring between each other, the European Central Bank, the Federal Reserve. You have people all over the world that want to take control of the monetary system. China would love to do it themselves. Russia would love to do it themselves. And you have them trying to band together to do it. You got central banks doing it. Everyone wants it. The Federal Reserve wants a CBDC, a central bank digital currency. And the commercial banks like Chase and Bank of America, they're like, no, 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 no. So everyone is fighting for this control. Bitcoin is in that fight. It's a silent, stealthy, apex predator, sitting in the weeds, waiting for its opportunity, picking one person off at a time. Exponential growth, the S-curve. It will explode over time, gradually and then suddenly. Bitcoin is in that fight, it has no leader. That's the beauty. It is not corrupted by a leader. It is led by each and every person. Decentralization, led by each person in the network, and that uses the network and owns the asset. It is a fight for all fights, and the time is now to step up and build the new world. Rules without rulers is Bitcoin. Rulers without rules is the legacy system. It's central banks. It's these countries. It's these goons that run these countries. That system's gone. It's dead. This is the new system. Rules without rulers. Fix the money. Fix the world. Rules without rulers. Look, private climate change, ESG. This is how I'm going to make my country rich. This was 4 years ago. They're already bankrupt. It took them less than 4 years. They're already bankrupt, gone. People storming his castle. They had the highest ESG score, the highest climate change score from the World Economic Forum that there was. I believe they had to take this article down because it was literally so embarrassing. Their country fell and they had to take this article down. People have screenshots of it saying the article's gone. That's how bad it is. Next up, Europe. They're next. They're on the verge of going bye-bye if they aren't careful. And again, that's what ESG does. That's what climate change does to you. When you go down this road and you sell your soul for power and control and centralization, this is what happens. If we don't need to kill every single person to fix climate change on Earth, well, should we not give everyone $1 trillion to help shield them from inflation? This is why a little bit of population control, or eating a few bugs, or a bit of cannibalism, or a little bit of stimulus payments directly to the people, or then why is it? Then why would it be that a little population control, or eating a few bugs, or a few stimulus payments directly to people do the people good? Wouldn't that only further fan the flames of the very problem that set out? One has to ask, why do it at all? The answer is because the unproductive class has been lying to you. Plain and simple. They've been lying to you for decades and brainwashing the populace into thinking that the people are the problem. Through the schools, the media, the culture, the mainstream news, you name it. Influencers. When in reality, the wizard behind the curtain furiously Snapping the levers off of the controls of society, the interest rates, the currency printing, have driven us all into the ditch time and time again. The money controls everything. Henry Kissinger knew this. Money and energy are the biggest things. Money, energy, and food. Those are the three biggest things. If you control those three things, the money, I forget his quote now, but it's if you control the money, you control the country, or you control the energy, you control the country, you control the food, you control the people. If you control the money, you control the world. Something to that effect. But he knew. He's one that got us into a lot of these messes, quite honestly. Making deals with the petrodollar, with the Saudis. The real fight is now. It's very real. It's time to take back control of their clown car that they have us in, but not take back control of the clown car they have. Excuse me. It's time to not take back control of their clown car they have us in, but instead to remove ourselves completely and progress into the new system of order and freedom, Bitcoin. This is the fight of our lives. Stay strong. If you like this, please share. Please like and subscribe. Please, if you don't like it, dislike it. Please tell us what you don't like, what we can do better, how we can better serve you. And again, please go check out the video we just did yesterday about getting robbed blind and how governments rob you. Using this metric, you can see exactly what's going on. One simple metric to see what's going on. Some of my keys to success and how we have created businesses and increased and multiplied our wealth in the last number of years. That's a video before that 2 days ago. Earlier this week, how to stop war. Again, how can we stop war and stop this craziness, this madness? More on that as well. So please go check those out. Please let me know what you think. Please share them. Like I said, if you like them, please share with people. Spread the message, spread the word. We need more people on this Bitcoin battlefield because this truly does laser eyes, destroys everything and everyone in its way and levels the playing field. If you like equity, if you like climate, if you like conserving the earth, if you like fairness, if you like equality, if you like social justice, if you like freedom, if you like liberty, if you like the Constitution, if you like the Bill of Rights, Bitcoin is for you. There is a massive place for you. So please join in the fight. Please let me know what your thoughts are. Love to hear from you. We'll see you on the next one.